Adam, to be followed by Stuart McMillan.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I too welcome this debate. Neil Bibby mentions many of the challenges that we face at the moment, and I would say we have to look at it. You know, personally myself, I would want to live in an independent Scotland, but I'm not there yet, and I've got to work with the situation that I'm in. And I'm quite ambitious about how we can make things happen within our local communities, and I think that's been something that we've shown within Renfrewshire as an administration, is how ambitious and how confident we can go out to the greater world and promote ourselves. I may or may not have mentioned before, Presiding Officer, but I'm from Paisley. And I'm a proud Paisley. And I'm a proud Paisley buddy, and it's one of these things where I'm ambitious for the town, and most people are within a town like Paisley. They're ambitious to see something from the future, how we can build on that. The problem with that is if you don't give them the ambition and the ideas for the future and show them where you can go, that becomes a negativity and they start to go in themselves. But luckily, over the past 5 years, we've been showing that there's things better for Paisley. And it comes from having a can-do attitude. I'm a great believer in working with community-led regeneration. In fact, one of the things in Renfrewshire administration did was reinstate the local area committees in Renfrewshire, where they had a budget of local money, grants money from the General Fund and some money from the Paisley Towns Fund as well. And they managed to do that themselves, decide what they wanted as a cross-party group. And as a chair of one of these ones in Paisley South, I actually turned up one day and said in the very first meeting, right, let's get out there and let's change our local community. Now, the local community thought that was a big man talking with hyperbole again, but we did, with the limited funds that we had within that group, make a difference. One example is that we got £160,000 from external funding, as well as £20,000 that we invested ourselves in Brodie Park for a state-of-the-art tennis court, for a minority sport, and to actually have a state-of-the-art municipal tennis court that's free for all and everyone can use is quite an incredible thing to do in this day and age. And now there's 40 young people arrive at that court every single night of the week to learn and play about tennis. It did help that when we did eventually make contact with Andy Murray's mother, she did hold a gun to the head of Tennis Scotland, metaphorically speaking, of course, and told them to give them money. There's no point in having in Braehead Arena the elite of the sport without allowing people locally to be able to do something. So if that's not the work of a strong community, I don't know. But over the years, I agree with the Minister that community planning and working with local businesses, the community and public sector partners is extremely important. And this is something that my colleague Derek Mackay did as chair of Paisley Vision Board, where he effectively led. There was very many difficult situations in Paisley Town Centre, and Mr Mackay made sure that he led the businesses and the local community. Even if you don't say so yourself, Mr Mackay. But we got to a situation where we actually marketed, instead of worrying about how do we fill these shops, why are they empty, we decided we would actually market them ourselves and we would make sure we could do something. We started a new Paisley Is campaign. There was also the fact that what Derek Mackay also called the Holy Trinity in Paisley was regenerate the old Arnott site, the Littlewood site, sorry for the adverts, Presiding Officer, but it's the only way we can locally know them, and the old North building of the council, all three of which are actually moving forward, and all three of which were something that hadn't moved all forward before my colleague actually took control as leader of the council, obviously helped by his best man and friend in the council as well, in the back benches. But one of the other things that we did was we invested in social housing. There's been talk of that. There was a Scottish Quality Housing Standard for 2015. Previous Labour administrations said it was privatised the housing stock or nothing. We actually did achieve it. We took 3 or 4 different attempts to make sure we achieved it, but we did in the end get there, and that is the biggest investment in housing in Renfrewshire since after the Second World War. One thing I will say, Minister, is the tax incremental finance scheme. There has been a lot saying. We have known each other for many years. Renfrewshire Council did make a bid for Glasgow Airport Economic Investment Zone. We're not taking the huff. But what we're saying is we will keep on at you to have a look at it, because it was a way so we could actually make sure we could get the infrastructure in the area already identified as a major constraint, and it gave us a chance to actually create 3,300 jobs over a 25-year period with an investment of £17 million. So it's quite a good deal, even if I do say so myself. And possibly, Presiding Officer, I know you're going to have a word with me there. Presiding Officer, that was probably something that the Minister could look at. But I'd like to talk about one of our local further education colleges. Audrey Comfort, the principal of Redcare College, has actually invested during this difficult time in a state-of-the-art Institute of Construction and Engineering. Some of our colleagues think this is quite strange at this time, but they have spent £4 million ensuring that they have increased areas for motor vehicles, electrical and fast developing renewable energy. So they're training people that are already involved in likes of an electrician to actually be involved in the renewable side of things. So that's important as well. And that's a college that believes in investing in the future. Obviously, with the situation in Paisley Town Centre, so if we don't, I'm running out of time here, Minister, so if we don't manage to get that, I'd like to maybe have an economic zone if you're looking at town centres, economic area, possibly look at Paisley Town Centre, because I think it's something that we definitely need. I think if we can actually have events along the lines of what Renfrewshire Council and Paisley Vision Board created recently, of 37,500 people in the town centre of Paisley partying to watch the Christmas lights going on, and incidentally there was a 55% uptake in many of the restaurants and pubs in the area, so it shows that the people did go and spend their money. We have Tesco breaking new ground in Walnock in the new year, a £9 million investment in Gilmore Street Station. But I still would like some of the things I've already asked for. So in closing, I would like to say these are all examples of local examples I've given from Paisley and Renfrewshire, but no doubt there's individual here that could actually mention things from their own local area. And I think it's important that I'm ambitious for my town and my community for the future. I just want to make sure that that's what my job is here, and that's why I've taken my time. Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Presiding Officer.